joining me for the first time, please subscribe, press the subscribe button below, and also turn on your notification bell icon so that you'll be the first person to get a notification when I post a new video. So this class is the continuation of our previous class. Okay, we did the dart manipulation twist jumpsuit. So I'm so sorry it took this long because I lost the videos of the first class, so I had to start all over again to reshoot another video, all because of you, my personal persons. Okay, so I really want you to just subscribe, at least encourage my effort, because I lost a video. I had to go and get fabric and reshoot again because of you all. Okay, so I've been getting messages like, when am I posting the complete video? Yes, so you are on the right channel. This class will be the continuation of our previous class. Okay, so creative, so if you are just joining us for the first time, this is the part 2 of the dart manipulation twist jumpsuit tutorial. So I'll be dropping the link on the description box below, so you follow the link to get the part 1 of the videos. Okay, so I lost the first video. That is why you see that the color used in that class is different from the color in this class, but it's the same tutorial. Okay, so I had to go through another process of shooting another video just to please my fellow so creative. So please like, share and subscribe so that my work won't flop. Love you and see you in class. Bye. Okay, so creative, so welcome back to class. So now we'll be moving on to cutting of our fabric, but before then we would need to take out the facing from the pattern. Yes, and this is my back block and this is the front block. So I'll just basically be tracing out my facing from each block. So my facing is about 2 inches. 2 inches. So from the neckline, I'll be starting with the back. I'll be marking 2 inches following the neckline down to the shoulder. 2 inches. Then I'll use my pen to connect the lines, to blend the lines. Okay, so note this is your shoulder, this is your center back, this is the neckline, right? So we'll be doing the same thing for the front. So this is my front shoulder. I'll be taking 2 inches on the shoulder, 2 inches following the neckline. Taking out my 2 inches on the shoulder, on the neckline, I'll also take 2 inches from the center front down. Then I'll just use my ruler to connect. Okay, so you can actually use a French cup also. Just use it to connect the lines. Okay, so I have my lines. You blend it in like so. So I have the shoulder, the neckline, and I have the center front here. So now I'll take a piece of paper like this. Then I will also place this pattern, okay, on top the piece of paper like this. Then you can also use a pin to secure. You must make sure that it is at the center front of the pattern. Yes, you must make sure that this part and the main pattern is actually on the same part. So after you get it right, the next thing you want to do is to use your tracing wheel to trace out the facing. You trace out the facing like so. Okay, so after tracing out the facing, I'll use my marker to draw it out. Okay, I'll draw this part also. So now what I have the center front here, I have my neckline and the shoulder here. So I'll also take the back. So the back, because you don't need the back to be on fold, so you might care less of making it rhyme with this straight part of the pattern. So you can actually just trace it out without getting into the center of the pattern. So I'll use a tracing wheel to trace this. The center back will not be on fold, okay? So I have the back part here. So you should always write, okay, to indicate where the center back is. This is my center back, this is the neck, and this is the shoulder, then this is the down. So now you don't get confused when you want to place on your fabric and cut out. So I'll cut it out, so when I'm done we'll be moving on to cutting on the fabric. Okay, so creative, I have successfully transferred my bust dart and my waist dart to the center front. Okay, so if you watch the part 1 of this class, okay, you would learn how to transfer all these darts to the center front. So if you've not watched the part 1, I'll be putting the link in the description box. So you will just go there, click on the link, and you'll be able to watch part 1 of this class. So you will understand how I transferred my darts to the center front like this. So now we are going to continue with the class. After transferring it to the center front like so, we would have to open up more darts, okay, because we want to do the slash and spread method, okay, for this twist jumpsuit. So now we'll be slashing and spreading more lines, okay, so that we'll be able to spread according to the fullness that we want on our twist jumpsuit. So now the first thing I want to do is to slash open to the armhole area. So I'll be taking my scissors and I'll slash open to the armhole area. Okay, so after that I'll be slashing more lines. So I'll be slashing another one that is coming from the armhole. But what you should be concerned is that any line you are slashing from here should come to the center front, should go to where you want your twist to form. Okay, so it is coming to the center front. Now from this part here, okay, let me just tell you how many I took from that point. So this is like 2.5 from that armhole area. So I'm taking it straight down to the center front like so. Then I'll be slashing another line by the side like this. So there is no standard measurement to it, just slash according to how much you want, but 3 slash lines is okay. 1, 2, 3 is just perfect. So I'll be doing the same thing here. Okay, so I will not slash this one yet. Let me just do this part so that I'll not have it tearing apart, because you know after slashing it might likely come out from each other. So now what I'll be doing from this center front, I'll be slashing down to the side. Okay, remember it must be going to the side. So now from the center front of my trouser part, okay, which is the down part of the upper bodice. So this is the center front, this is the upper part, this is the side part. So this is my crotch, my hip line. So now from the center front, which is this part, I'll be slashing down 3 lines. Okay, so I'll slash 1. So all the lines should be coming from the center front area. So you can slash it down to your hip line, okay, or to your crotch area. So you can actually slash to where you want the twist to fall. So you can still slash it down up to almost to the knee area. It depends on how you want your twist to form. You can also have more than 3 slashes on your trouser part. So it depends on you, on what you want. So I'll be adding 1 more slash lines because I want it to come after the crotch. It depends on how you want your draping to form. You might not follow my own slash line. You might just do your own, okay? So but just understand the technique. So now I have slashed it down to this part that is after my crotch, okay? It means when the drape is forming, it will form up to this point here. So the next thing I want to do is to slash and spread. So I'll be doing that for the upper part. So I will just be slashing this like here. So I'll spread open, okay? So I'll open it up like so. Now while opening the pattern out, okay, you must make sure that here, which is the center front, is meeting the center front of the upper part. Okay, like so, like so. So here and here should meet each other like this. Okay, while here and here should meet each other like this. So after it has met each other like this, so I'll use a pin to secure it down. You can actually also use a tape to secure it down. I'll use a pin to secure it like so. So the center front cannot be on fold. Yes, it cannot be on fold. So I'll also pin here. Here and here should meet each other like so. You must make sure that the armhole is relaxing perfectly. The armhole area.
Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain of pain. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you. And it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head. I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test. I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
Okay, so you should not be concerned about this middle part. What you should be concerned about is the center front and this center front here. And also we have the waist of the trouser. This is the waist of your upper bodice. Okay, so you must make sure that here and here is meeting. That point, the 2 points are meeting, while the 2 points on the center are also meeting each other. So the next thing we want to do is to add the sewing allowance. But before then, you must make sure that the down part of your jumpsuit also have space where you'll be using to add seam allowance. You must also have some space at the down part, like about 1.5 or 2 inches at the down, when you'll be using to add your seam allowance. So the next thing I want to do is to start adding my seam allowance. So I'll be starting from the shoulder area. So on the shoulder, I'll be adding half an inch. On the neckline also, I'll be adding half an inch. At the center front, I'll be adding half an inch. So if you don't know where your half an inch is, you can actually just use your tape to measure half an inch. Okay, please don't follow the way I'm just marking it. You can actually use a tape to mark. So I'll be adding half an inch also at the crotch area down. Okay, so now at this point, it depends on how you want your trouser to be. If you want it to be a palazzo trouser, you can now, from this crotch, draw a straight line down. From the crotch, you draw a straight line down. Okay? If you want it to be straight, like your office trouser, not tight, just straight, you follow half an inch down, like so. But I want mine to have the palazzo under. Okay, so creative, so I want mine to be a palazzo. So I'm taking it straight from the crotch down. So now for adding down part, I'll be adding about 1.5. You can also add 2 inches to the down. It depends on how many seam allowance you want. Okay, so I'll be adding 1.5 inches to the down part of my jumpsuit. I'll be adding 1.5. So after that, I'll be moving to the armhole area. So the armhole, I'll be adding half an inch to that part, like so. Now to the side, I'll be adding 1 inch. So you can add 1.5. If you are using a stretchy fabric, don't add any seam allowance. If you are using a stretchy fabric, don't add any seam allowance. Okay, so I'll be adding 1 inch. You can see 1 inch at the side. 1 inch, 1 inch. Okay, so now this is the side. Now we are going to the waist. This is the waistline. The waistline, you'll be adding just half an inch to the waist. Please don't make the mistake to add 1 inch to the waist. The waist should have half an inch. The waistline should have half an inch seam allowance. At the side here, I'll be adding 1 inch. I'll be adding 1 inch. After adding your 1 inch, okay, because we've gotten to the side, then you blend it. You blend it to the down part. Okay, if you are doing a palazzo trouser, from the 1 inch you come down like that a bit, then you just open it out. So I open it out from the knee by 2.5. Sorry, open it out from the knee by 2.5 down to the hem. Okay, I open it out by 2.5. Okay, so on the hip line I open it out by 1.5. At the crotch also 1.75, and I blend it through. Okay, so you can also use 2.5. You can also use 2.5 too. It depends on you. So you just actually just blend it straight down. Okay, so let me just check. So okay, I'm using 1.5 from that part. Then I just blend it through straight down, like so. Can you see what I just did? So after that, the next thing I want to do is to cut my fabric. Okay, so creative. So after cutting, the next thing I want to do is to notch the midpoint, like where the center front is joining together, the upper part and the trouser part. So I'll just put a notch around that part, like you just cut it a bit like so. Okay, so creative. So I'll also be notching this waistline here, the meeting point. I'll just put a notch around that part. So while sewing, I'll be able to know where to stop sewing, okay, and how to join. So it is really important for you to notch this part and this part. So I'll be moving on to cutting the back. Okay, so creative. So it's time for us to work on the back part. So I have the upper part of my back, okay, and I have the lower part of the jumpsuit. Okay, so now this is the waistline here. If you want a waist seam, maybe your fabric is not enough, you can actually have to cut your upper part of the back separately from the down part, so your fabric can be enough. So for me, my fabric is enough, so I'll be closing the waistline, so you would not be seeing any seam line around the waist. So I'll just be using a tape to tape the waist down. Remember, I didn't add any darts because I don't want to have a waist seam line around the waist region. So I'll just be using a tape to secure it down like this. Okay. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is to pin the fabric, the pattern on the fabric. Okay, so I'm just trying to manage my fabric because the length is not really long enough. So I'll just be adding half an inch here, so that's why I'm just pinning it, leaving a half an inch at the shoulder area. Seam allowance at the shoulder half an inch, at the neckline half an inch, at the armhole I'll be adding half an inch, at the side I'll be adding 1 inch, at the side I'll be adding 1 inch. On the waist seam I'll also be adding 1 inch there. Okay, so now, at the hip line area I'll be adding 1.5. From the knee line I'll add 2.5, and also at the hem I'll add 2.5. So I'll just blend it through. I'll blend it like so. So I'm basically using what the inches I use for the front, that is what I'm also using for the back. So at the center back I'll just be adding half an inch.
useless, I feel diluted, my heart's been wounded.
Half an inch. At the crotch, half an inch. So at the knee line, I'll be adding 2.5. So for the crotch, I'll just take a straight line meeting 2.5. I'll do the same thing down to the end. So at the M, I'll be adding 1 inch. Okay, so because my fabric is not enough for me to add 1.5 at the M, so I'll also reduce the front part to 1 inch, the hem part on the front. I'll also reduce that part to 1 inch, okay, because my fabric is not enough by the length because I'm not using a waist seam. Okay, so but if you don't have enough fabric, you can actually add waist seam to your outfit. So now I'll basically be cutting the lines I just marked.
Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test, I better not text or I'll come off desperate. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, out of my head, thinking something.
Okay, so I'm done cutting the center back. So this is what I have here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to cut the 1 inch interfacing at this part here where I'll be adding the zipper. Okay, so that my zipper can relax well. So I'll be using paper stay to cut the 1 inch. You can actually use hair stay because I'm using paper stay because so that I can be able to pull it out. So creative, so I have cut my 1 inch interfacing. So I'll be fusing it with my iron, steam iron. I'll just be pressing it down this part. So you press it down to where your zipper will be ending. So this is just 1 inch interfacing. So the next thing we want to do is to go to the sleeve. And after cutting the sleeve, then we'll go into sewing. So the sleeve length I'll be using for this outfit is 12 inches. So I'll be using 12 inches as the sleeve length. So I'll just be marking 12 inches like so. I'll use my ruler to connect the line. So after marking your 12 inches, which is your length, this is the length. From here I mark 12 inches. The next thing you want to do is to get your cap height. How do we get a cap height? Your cap height is your bust measurement. My bust is 33 divided by 12 plus 1 inch. Okay, so whatever your bust is, you will use it divided by 12 plus 1. So my cap height is 3.75. So from the sleeve length, I will just be marking 3.75. So after getting that, the next thing you want to impute is your armhole measurement. Okay, so your armhole is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. That is 7 inches for me. My bust is 33 divided by 6 plus 1.5 gives me 7 inches. So I'll just be marking 7. So from the 7 inches, I'll mark a. Okay, note this is the center front of my sleeve, center part here. So after marking that, you measure what you have here. What I have is 8 inches. So I'll divide 8 inches into 2, which gives me 4 inches. So from there, I'll use my French curve to connect my sleeve like this. Use a French curve to connect your sleeve. So now, after connecting this part, you place your French curve like this. Okay, it should be meeting here to here in a curvy way. Okay, just like this. So after doing that, you want to take your round sleeve. My round sleeve here is about 11 inches. 11 divided by 2, 5.5. So I'll mark 5.5 like so. Then I'll connect my sleeve like this. So after that, I will now be cutting the sleeve out. So drafting the sleeve is very simple. So with this little explanation, you'll be able to draft any kind of basic sleeve you want before you now start doing it into your exaggerated sleeve, and all you need to draft this basic sleeve first. So now we'll be cutting on our fabric. So creative, so we are moving to cutting the fabric. So now I have my fabric here with me, so I'll fold it into two like so. After folding it into two, okay, so and I'll place it in a triangular form. This is in a triangular form. Okay, so you can do any kind of sleeve that you like. Okay, it's not a must for you to do the same sleeve as mine, so you can just do your preference, the sleeve that you prefer to make. So after doing that, the next thing I'll do is to place my pattern on the fabric. So now I'll place the pattern on the fabric like so, like this. Okay, so I'll make sure that I have 1 inch left here, 1 inch left here. Okay, and then the center part of my sleeve is touching the unfold part of the fabric like this at the edge. So I'll just pin it down like this. So after that, I'll be adding my seam allowance of ½ inch. I'll be adding my seam allowance of ½ inch like so. Then here I'll be adding 1 inch. I'll be adding 1 inch straight down. Okay, so now after that, I'll just connect my sleeve straight down like so. So here at the down part, I'm having 2 inches. Okay, so it depends on you. I can actually shift it to come down a bit, so I just like the sleeve this way. Okay, so I want this part to form that triangle part, so you can actually do it as a round sleeve, like a normal bell sleeve. Okay, just like that flake kind of sleeve, so you can actually do it round. For me, I want my sleeve to look this way, so that's why I'm cutting here straight. So I'm just going to cut it straight like this without altering any parts. Okay, so here's what I have. So if you feel like this part is too long, you can actually make your own shorter. So what I have here is about 21 inches. So I will make it shorter to about 19 inches. So from here, I'll connect it to 19 inches. So after that, I'll cut the upper part. And I'll cut the side that it will fold. Okay, so I have my sleeve here. Okay, so this is how the sleeve will fall. So creative, so I have interfaced my facing. Okay, so I use the hairstay interfacing so that it can be stable. Okay, so I did the same thing for the back and the front. So now the next thing we want to do is to move to the sewing aspect. So now I have the front part here with me like this. So this is the front part of the outfit. So the next thing I want to do is to take out my pins and remove the pattern from the main fabric. So I'll show you how to sew it. So I'll just take out the pins. So after taking out my pin, note that you have to be careful at this point. This is the side part of the upper bodice. This is the waistline. This is the side part of the down bodice. This is the neckline area. This is the center front. So now I'm just going to take this one out like this, so that the center front will be facing the center front. Okay, so creative, so I have the center front of the jumpsuit facing the center front facing the center front on the both sides. Okay, so I'm just basically repeating what I did before for the twist. So now I notched the waistline by like this, and I notched the other part. I put notches. Okay, so that is the reason why you should always put notches, okay, so that you'll be able to couple them together. So now at this part where I have the waistline, I'm just going to do like a gather around that area. Okay, so after doing that gathers, you stop, then you do gathers for the other part too on the waistline. So you bring it together like this. So now you have to take this one, you put it underneath this one, then you bring it out like so. You bring it out like so. After bringing it out, you want to take the waistline. This is the two waistline there, and this is the two waistline here. So after you do that, you would use a pin. You place the right side facing the right side of the fabric, then you use a pin to secure it. You'd use a pin to secure it at that part. Okay, so I'll also secure the other part like this. Use a pin to secure it like this. So after securing that part, okay, you want to go to the upper part of the center front. So this is the both neckline. So you also need to do fabric right side facing the right side. Okay, then you use your pin to secure that end. Use your pin to secure it. So you can actually serge, okay, like weave. You can weave before you start sewing. Okay, I'm not here with my serger machine. Okay, so but I will serge after I'm done sewing. Okay, I just want to finish this outfit now. Okay, so I'll pin down to the waist part. So after pinning the upper part, we are going to the crotch. The crotch, you repeat the same process for the crotch area. So you might not understand it when you have not started sewing it on your fabric, okay, but when you want to start sewing, watch the video and follow the process. You will get it right. It's so easy and simple. Okay, it just look confusing, but it's not as complex as you think. It's not as complex as you think. I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing. Okay, so creative, so I'm done pinning. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so this is what I have here. So I'll go to the sewing machine to sew, and then we'll continue. Okay, so creative, so it's time to start sewing. Okay, so I'll just be turning the fabric to the back. I'll be sewing on half an inch. I'm sewing on half inch. So I'll be starting with the center front, which my neckline is. So I can feel the sweat inside my palm. Play with me like cats in the street. You don't understand. Okay, so creative. So I'll start sewing on half an inch. You don't ever want to set me free. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, you so close to where the knot is. Okay, so that you won't be seeing any hole, like you won't be seeing any space around that area. So I'll be sewing the skirt part, sorry, the side, that is the waist part, sorry. I'll be sewing the waist part also on 1/2 inch. Sew as close as possible to where the knot is. So I'll be sewing the other part, the other waist part.
Inside my palm, play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted. You've been gifted with the evil. I'm coming back home, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head. I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh. Everything is like a test. I better not text or I'll come.
So after I'm done sewing the waist part. So the next thing I'll be sewing is the crotch. So I'll be sewing the crotch part.
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did? I don't think you understand what you're doing. And my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you, I'm losing. I feel like you think that
When you're done sewing, you cut out your threads, take out your pins.
was it me? Is it me?
Like
Am I
so.
deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry.
Okay, so creative. So let's see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have here. Okay, we have our twist forming perfectly. Okay, so can you see how beautiful it is? Okay, so the next thing I want to sew is the facing. Okay, so after I sew the facing, then I'll just go to my pressing table to press. So I'm here with my facing. I'll place the midpoint of my facing and the midpoint of my center front, okay, where I have that seam line. So the midpoint of the facing, okay, should be facing the midpoint, and you should open this part. You should open this part. Okay, then you pin. When you are done, then you start sewing on 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm done sewing the facing, so I'll notch the middle. Okay, then I'll also notch the neckline. So after notching, I'll do a top stitch. I'll top stitch to where the facing is. So creative, so after top stitching, I'll go to the pressing table to press.
And it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil.
I'll go to my pressing table to press down the neckline. Okay, so creative, so I am done sewing the neckline and I have gone to my pressing table to press. So you can see how beautiful it is laying for me. So the next thing I'll do is to actually use a serger machine, which I don't have right now. Okay, I'll use a serger machine to weave the edge of the facing, then I'll fold it just once. Okay, I'll just fold it once. Okay, so you have to do yours that so that the inside can be neat. So after that, I'll be going to the back. So I have actually fused my paper stay at the center back of 1 inch. Okay, so I am set to sew. So I'll place my center back, that's the right side facing the right side of my center back, like so. Then I will use a pin to secure it at the upper part.
I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion. Even though I offer all of the solutions, I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone,
after using a pin to secure,
I wish I wasn't struck by
I'll measure about, after pinning, I'll just measure my zipper. Okay, so my zipper length is about 23 inches. Okay, so I'll be marking 23 inches from this upper part here. I'll be marking 23 inches down to where it gets to, and I'll just use a chalk to mark that end. This is where my 23 is stopping, so I'll just mark that point. Then from there I'll be sewing on half an inch. Yeah, I'll be sewing on half an inch. So I'll take out the pins. Okay, so I'm set to sew my invisible zipper. Okay, so creative, so I'll be placing the right side of my zipper facing the right side of the fabric. So I'll be sewing it twice. The first seam line I'll be sewing would be by this side here. Okay, just to keep it in place. This first line is just to keep my zipper in place. So after that, I'll cut out the threads like so. Then this is what I have as the zipper. I'll open up the invisible zipper. I'll open it up like that. Then I would open, for invisible zipper, you don't just sew it like this. Invisible zipper, you don't just sew it like this. Before sewing, you have to open up the zipper so that you actually sew close to the teeth. So when you zip it, it will look as if there is no zipper there. So I'll sew close to the teeth. So you need to use a zipper foot. So I'm using the zipper foot. Okay, this is what an industrial machine zipper foot looks like, and that is what I used here. So it is actually easy to sew with a zipper foot than your normal foot.
I wish when I first saw you, I feel so useless. I feel diluted. My heart. understand the pain of pain. You don't ever wanna give me away. You don't ever wanna set me free.
So I'm done sewing, so I'll see how it looks like. I'll just zip it up to be sure that I haven't sewn it wrong. So I'm done sewing this part, okay? So you can see how close it is. You can see how close it is to the main fabric, okay? So I'll be sewing the other part. So when I'm done, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so creative, I'm done fixing the invisible zipper. So you can see how beautiful it is laying. This is how yours should look. If yours is not looking this way, please lose that zipper right now and fix it again. Okay, don't be lazy. Invisible zipper is actually simple to fix. With this method I have shown you, change your zipper foot to an invisible zipper foot. Okay, so now I'll be changing my foot back to the normal foot, so I'll continue sewing. So the next thing I would be sewing now is my facing. Okay, so here is the center back that I have notched. So always notch the facing center back so that while you fix it, you'll be able to know where the center back is located. So you'll be placing right side facing the right side of the main fabric. Then you can use a pin to secure, like so.
I can feel the sweat inside my palm. Play with me like cats in the street.
Okay, so while sewing, you have to back stitch at that point. Then you need to sew on half an inch. After sewing, you take out your pins. You would want to top stitch. Everything is like not text or I'll come up. So after top stitching, always notch, or before top stitching, make sure that you notch so that your facing relax perfect. So after doing that, the next thing you want to do is to sew it down. So as I'm sewing it down, I will stop by half an inch. So after I serge, I'll be able to fold it back. So I will not be sewing from the starting point. So that I'll be able to use my serger machine to serge. So I said I'll leave half an inch here, so that I'll be able to use my serger machine to serge. So I'll cut this part like a notch here. Like so. Okay. Okay, so creative, so I'm done sewing the facing on the both sides, and this is what the final look is. Okay, so I'll just be using a serger machine to serge this part, and then I can just fold it once or leave it that way. Then I'll just untap. So the next thing I want to do is to go to my pressing table to press. Okay, then you can now start taking your paper stay out. You can just draw it out. Okay, so creative, so I'm done pressing. The next thing I want to do is to take the both front and the back fabric. So I'll basically be joining shoulder to the shoulder. Okay, so I'll be separating the facing. So I'll face the right side of my front part facing the right side of the back part. So now I'll be pinning the shoulder at the midpoint. Okay, now I'll pin facing the facing part. Okay, this side that has the facing will meet the facing, while the shoulder of the main fabric will be meeting the shoulder of the main fabric of both the front and the back. Okay, so after that I'll start sewing on half an inch. Okay, so I'm done sewing the shoulder, so I'll just take out my pins. Then you can also go to your pressing table at this point to open press. So I'll be sewing the other part and pressing the shoulder.
You don't ever wanna give me real. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted. You've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I'm screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through.
Okay, so creative, so I'm done sewing the shoulder part and I have gone to press. Okay, so you can see how neatly it is laid, how beautiful it is looking without me coupling them together, like finishing them. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to shape the sides. Okay, so I'll just be flipping it back to the side like so. Okay, then I'll be pinning the bust area. I'll pin the bust area. I'll pin the other bust.
I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising.
So I'll just be pinning the waist down to the end. Creative, so I'm done pinning the outfit, so I'll start sewing from the crotch. I'll sew from one crotch. So I'll be sewing my crotch on half inch. That was the allowance I added to my outfit. So I'll be sewing the other parts of the crotch. I'm done sewing the crotch part. So after sewing, I just notch the middle like this, okay, so that it relaxes without folding there. Okay, so the next part I want to sew is the side. Okay, so I'll be sewing the side by 1 inch because I added 1 inch for the sewing allowance at the bust area. So I'll be sewing the 1 inch down to the waist. Okay, so I'll basically be following my 1 inch down. Okay, because I don't want the jumpsuit to be tight, I want it to be free. Or 1 inch down. So creative, so I'm done sewing. I'm done pressing the outfit. So the next thing I want to do now is to start with the sleeve. So I have my sleeve here with me. Okay, so I'll just be notching the upper part of my sleeve, like so. So after that, I'll be folding the down part of the sleeve. Okay, I'll just be folding it twice, like so. So I'm just folding the down part of my sleeve like this. When I get to this point here where the sharp part is, I'll fold this way. Okay, still maintaining the sharp part. So I'm done sewing the sleeve, so I'll just face it the right side, facing the right side of the sleeve like this. Okay, then I'll sew the sleeve 1 inch. just like the seam allowance I added on the fabric.
When I'm alone with
Okay, so crazy, so I'm done ironing the sleeve. So I'll just be placing the center part of the sleeve on the shoulder of the outfit. So I'll use a pin to secure it so that I can start sewing.
I can feel the sweat on my palm. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain of pain. You don't ever wanna give me. You don't ever wanna set me free.
So when you get to the armhole, you fold the seam allowance in a triangular form. You fold the seam allowance on the armhole area in a triangular form. You repeat the same thing for the sleeve seam allowance, okay? You make sure that you don't sew the seam allowance on the armhole area straight. So I'll be sewing the other parts. Okay, so creative, I'm done sewing our twist that manipulation jumpsuit. So you can see how beautiful and neat it is looking. Okay, this is how yours should look after the finishing of your outfit. Okay, so please like, comment, share and subscribe. Yes, press the subscribe button icon so that you'll be the first person to be notified when I post a new video. Thank you for watching. I remain Right Touch, your most reliable fashion tutor, fashion designer.